talk about whites who love racism and the black people that love them. What up, though? 2026 has already kicked off, so happy new year to you. Doechii had a song that's called Girl Get Up, featuring SZA, and on that song, she spit this bar that says, quote, all that industry plant shit is whack. I see it in the blogs. I see it in the chats. You suck every rapper nigga from the back. But what's the agenda when the it girl black? Unquote. Now, I get that Doechii is coming from when it comes to that industry plant thing. She's been getting that tag for the past year ever since she kind of blew up. It's annoying to me. It's the new phrase and catchword that everyone seems to be throwing when there's an artist they never heard of, which for me is dumb. There's a lot of artists I never heard of, but you know what you should do when you're really in the culture and you get introduced to an artist? You go do your research about them and you see how long they've been putting in work, and that way you can know. Or on the other end, you can't necessarily understand how success is necessarily going to be measured. Sometimes people come up with a song that takes off. Sometimes it happens. Now, do I feel like you do have industry plants that are out there? Absolutely. People who come out of nowhere, and after you do your research and you see they don't have no kind of background or anything like that, then yeah, you can call those people industry plants, and there's some truth to that, but I do feel like she gets the tag unfairly. Not to mention she's attached to the most successful label in the culture right now, which is Top Dog Entertainment. However, that's not what we're here to discuss. What's happening is, after that line, there's a lot of streamers that you can say that she was addressing, but there was one in particular named Aiden Ross who took it upon himself to say she's talking about me, because Aiden Ross has been disrespecting Doechii ever since about May 2025 of last year when she was seen on video going off on her staff during the Met Gala. And he called her a, quote, unintelligent POS. Now, he recently responded to this song with Tekashi 6ix9ine with a song he made with him by calling her a dirty B. Before I move any way forward, I want to go out and salute all the brothers I see online that are defending Doechii and going off on Aiden Ross. Shout out to Glasses Malone, who the first thing he came out with, and he said a lot of things that don't need to be added on as far as the way he articulated his point perfectly. But to simplify is when he said, you as a white man should not be disrespecting her by calling her a dirty B. You can critique her music. You can say what you don't like about her style, but you calling her a dirty B as a white man is a no-no. And guess what Aiden Ross did? He got upset about that. Yes, because this type of whiteness is the one that I want to address. The type of whiteness that when they get addressed about something, they want to do the art of the pivot. And Aiden Ross did just that. First of all, he responded with Glasses Malone by saying, you should go take care of your kids. And Glasses Malone doesn't have any kids, but he's actually portraying the stereotype that you can be a black father who's not out here taking care of your kids. The negative stereotype, that is. Then he wants to get someone like Whack 100. And he wants to tell Whack 100 to go talk to Glasses. So that way he can be this white puppeteer that these black men do his dirty work for him. And then lastly, you see him last I checked, when he comes up on my timeline, I'm riding around in the car telling Joe Budden and anybody else to come pull up because he got police officers. You see that right there? That type of attitude, we keep seeing this play over and over again. We're not just with Aiden Ross, but we've seen it with other comedians like Andrew Schultz or any kind of star who has that guy years ago who called black women nappy-headed hoes, that radio jock whose name I just can't remember right now. And I remember his pivot was about how rap artists are always disrespecting women. I remember Andrew Schultz, his pivot was about how Kendrick Lamar disrespects women all the time. Therefore, he can disrespect somebody. And Aiden Ross is the latest one to do that same blueprint, right? He's like, oh, if you really feel that way, why don't you go stream her album? Why don't you give back to the community? How come we'll never see you give back to your community? Why don't you go take care of your kids? I don't know Joe Budden, never met the guy at all, listen to his podcast. But to say that he's not a good father, I have no idea about. I can assume he is a good father, but it's not my place to say what some man's a good father or not. That's like me telling Aiden Ross he's not a good son. I know nothing about you. Why would I do that, right? However, we know what that play is. It's a huge distraction that and him out there yelling, I'm just some Jewish kid and they're all jumping me and playing victim. I got these police officers. I'm not a street dude. Somebody defending black women has nothing to do with the streets. It's not about condoning violence. It's about letting you know that clearly we grew up in two different eras. I grew up in the era where you got punched in the mouth, literally and figuratively, right? You got punched in the mouth for the things that you say. There was a consequence for the things that I did and I said, and it was immediate. We are growing up in an era where we're seeing streamers or people who are online who get to say what they want to say, and there's no repercussion of it. That's the era that you grew up in. And this man and others alike are just informing you that that kind of disrespect will not be tolerated because that's the level that you took them to. The people like the Aiden Rosses of the world who go around saying the N-word, and they want to say that they can say it because they have black friends, which leads me to my next issue. Although I can praise the majority of brothers I've seen out there defending Doechii and going off on Aiden Ross, We got to talk about that small pocket of brothers that are standing right next to the Aiden Rosses of the world or on the couches with the comedians of the world and being okay with that type of behavior. We got to be able to address that even if they are a very micro number of them, because that number has the possibility of growing, and showing that display is not cool. It's not okay that even if you're not vocally supporting Aiden Ross or Andrew Schultz or anybody who is white that is holding on to that racist thing that they have done, that racist trope, and they want to hold on to it with dear life, even by you just sitting there and being silent and not saying anything, is showing support, is being complicit in that. And there's something about when I see that type of whiteness that feels this desire to want to hold on to that type of racism because they want to have their right to be able to do it because you do it over there. Therefore, we should do it. It shows me a racist Frankenstein monster that's being created by that support of blackness on a certain degree level to make them feel so comfortable to be able to come in there. To make them feel that not only are they invited to the cookout, but they can come into your couch and kick their feet up on it like Rick James style, eat the food, we're giving it to them, they can spit in everybody's plate and then walk out and don't throw the deuces but the F you at the cookout when they walk out and in the door, and all we're supposed to do is just smile about it because they grace us with their white presence. We need to bring that kind of attitude to a halt, and we all need to stop that. But we all need to acknowledge that when we are seeing these people online and we are building up their platforms by contributing to showing up or supporting it in any kind of way, whether if it's a song, a movie, or any of that, this right here, it adds to it. That's the accountability on this side of things that we have to take. But on the other side of things, it's something to acknowledge when we see that type of gaze that feels the need to want to spit on the culture and be disrespectful towards black women and anybody of our skin color. We should know that that playbook has been the same, and that playbook is going to get run again and again and again, and they don't even have that many pages, but it keeps being successful.